Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss the differences between raster and vector data. That means we will discuss whatever the advantages are there in raster data model, whatever the disadvantages are there in both raster and vector data model. But before doing that, I will also introduce two other topic, that is one is topology, the concept of topology which is directly related to vector data, and another one is that digital elevation model concept, or in short DEM concept, which is also directly related to raster data. So topology related to vector data, DEM related to raster data. These two concepts first we will discuss, and later finally we will discuss the advantage and disadvantages of raster and vector data, and lastly we will conclude with which one we should use in our GIS data representation purpose, raster or vector. That we will also discuss finally. So let's start. So representation of spatial features, or representation of different types of geographical features in computer. In the raster data model, individual cells are used, or individual pixels are used as the building blocks for storing and representing both discrete and continuous geographical data. So in raster data model, whether you will represent discrete or continuous geographical data, ultimate building block is nothing but the cell or pixel. Unlike in the vector data model, it uses two-dimensional Cartesian XY coordinate to store the shape of a geometry. I told you in the last video that vector data model only use three types of geometry, that is point, line and polygon, and based on those three types of geometry it is capable to represent both discrete and continuous geographical data, or GIS data. And in case of vector data, the building block is the XY coordinate. As you try to remember, point consists of only single XY coordinate. Line consists of at least two or many more coordinate. Polygon consists of at least four or many more coordinates. So that I already discussed in the earlier video lecture. Okay, now I just present in front of you one illustration. Now if you see, these are the different types of geographical data. Suppose some hotel, some hostel, some building, some police station. When we try to represent such type of discrete geographical data, either you can use raster or you can use vector. If you want to represent some skylines or road or drainage line, some linear features, linear geographical features which is also discrete in nature, that can be also represented using raster and vector. If you want to represent some forest, some district, some state, then that you can also represent as a polygon, vector data, or as a raster. If you want to represent some road network where different types of road features are connected with each other, that can be also represented using raster or as a vector line features geometry. If you want to represent some topographic surface or terrain, I mean relief, that can be also represented using raster data, or that can be also represented as a vector data. So as per this figure you understand, here hostels are modeled by a single discrete cells. Supposed to be 4 or 5 hostels are there that are represented by 4 discrete single cells. If you see the roadways or if you see the ropeways, These ropeways are modeled by linking cells into lines. As you can see, all those cells are linked with each other. It creates a line type of shape which represent these skylines. If you want to represent forest using raster data, then the forest by grouping cells into blocks. Lot of cells are grouped and create a block, and that represent a region or any area. And if you see the road network by linking cells into network where all the cells are linked with each other, and that creates such type of road network. If you want to represent relief or terrain, the relief or terrain of an area has been modeled by giving every cell in the raster image an attribute value. So whenever we represent some relief or topographic surface, where every cell in the raster represents some sort of attribute value, maybe elevation, temperature, temperature surface, elevation surface, rainfall surface, where every pixel will contain such type of attribute value, and that's the way we represent. Now if you consider the vector data, then in the vector data model, the point is the basic building block, as I told you, from which all spatial features are connected or can be constructed. So in case of vector data, the building block is the point, and based on this point, all types of spatial features we can construct. The simplest spatial entity is the point, is represented by single xy coordinate pair, as you can see, single xy coordinate. Line, in case of line and polygon features are constructed by connecting a series of points into chains and polygon. In case of this line, consists of connecting 3 points. In case of this polygon, consists of connecting several points that are prepared. Okay, so that is the way. Either using raster or using vector data, we can represent both types of, discrete and continuous types of geographical features. And in this illustration, I just try to present in this way. Okay. In the next slide, I will discuss the concept of topology, which is, I told you, directly related to vector data. In GIS, topology is the term used to describe the geometric characteristics of vector data, which do not change under transformations such as stretching, such as bending. So whenever you will stretch any point, any line or any polygon features, the topological characteristics of the vector data will never change, and it is also independent of any coordinate system. So your vector data consists of any type of coordinate system. Topology does not depends on it. So topology basically describe the geometrical characteristics of the data. Topology consists of 3 elements, or you can say 3 types of geometrical characteristics. Adjacency, whether the spatial features are adjacent, whether one spatial feature is contained by another spatial features, which is called containment, whether spatial features is connected with another spatial features or not. So this connectivity, this geometrical characteristics is represented by topology. So topology in this way consists of 3 elements. Adjacency and containment describe the geometrical relationship that exists between polygon features. So adjacency and containment spatial relationship or topological characteristics is only applicable for polygon vector data. In both in adjacency and containment, containment describe polygon features that may be wholly contained within another polygon features. One polygon features is totally contained by another polygon features. For example, island within a lake. Here island geographical feature is totally contained by another lake geographical features. So the same way, polygons can be described as being adjacent. You can also represent polygon can be described as being adjacent when they share a common boundary. For example, district boundaries, state boundaries, those are always adjacent. So in case of adjacency, they will share, polygon geometry will share the common boundaries. Then come connectivity. This connectivity is only applicable for line vector data or applicable for line geometry. Connectivity is a geometric property that used to describe the linkages between the line features. Between two line features, whether they are linked, they are connected. This characteristics is represent and stored by topology, which is directly related to vector data. So topology in vector data basically represent different types of spatial relationship properly, and that will do not change under transformation. Like if you stage the geometry, if you bend the geometry, or if you use any type of coordinate system, that will totally independent of coordinate system. Your vector data can consist of any type of coordinate system. Okay, then in the next slide we'll discuss the concept of DEM, digital elevation model, which is totally depends on raster data. DEM is a raster-based digital representation of ground surface topography or terrain. When you represent surface, when you represent such type of surface, and if this surface represent topography or terrain, then this is called DEM. It is used to quantify the characteristics of the land surface. So if you have a DEM raster data, this DEM raster data is used to quantify the characteristics of the land surface. Which type of characteristics? Whether there is a high elevation, whether there is a moderate elevation or low elevation, that you can understand. From the DEM data, by using DEM data, you can understand which area are steeper slope or which are valley, low slope area. What is the slope direction? What is the hill facing side? So all such type of characteristics of the land surface is easily possible to extract from the DEM data. Now, DEMs can be created or DEMs can be constructed from a variety of sources. We can create a topographic surface or terrain with the help of variety of data sources. Some of them are topographic maps. If you have topo sheet or topographic maps which represent contoured line, then from this topographic map you can prepare DEM. If you have aerial photograph and satellite image, from those two type of data we can also prepare DEM. if you have LiDAR data, this is a totally new technology used in GIS nowadays, very popular. Light detection and ranging. So if you have this LiDAR data, light detection and ranging data, then that can be also used for preparation of DEM. You can also perform preparation of DEM by collecting data from the unmanned aerial vehicles like drone. By flying drone, if you capture the photograph of the earth surface, that can be also used for preparation of DEM. And final one is that by doing ground survey, field survey, using using survey instruments like theodolite, using survey instrument like GPS, you can collect data. Which type of data? You can collect the elevation data directly from the ground, and those collected elevation data that you can use for preparation of DEM. So in GIS, this is a very useful raster data which represent topographic surface or terrain. And now in this slide, I just show you one typical example of DEM raster data, and that shows you a national digital elevation model raster data, and which will show you the legend. So in India, where the high elevation zone, where the low elevation zone, where the moderate elevation zone, that is represented by this color scale, low to high color gradients. So that just for your understanding purpose I present in front of you. Then back to the main main point is that what are the advantages raster data has. Raster data, first advantage is that it has a simple data structure, a grid cell size and number of rows and columns, nothing more than that. Grid structure, few number of rows, few number of columns is there, and it has cell, and those cells have certain size. Raster data is more suited to mathematical modeling and analysis. So in GIS, different types of model preparation purpose, different types of sophisticated analysis purpose, raster data is more suitable, because for its such type of grid structure, which this grid structure is very useful for computational purpose, mathematical modeling and analysis purpose. Due to the fact that the raster surface represent one attribute or value, because I told you in my last video lecture where every pixel contains some sort of attribute value. So due to this fact, where pixel or grid contain attribute information, calculations, algorithms and quantitative processing can be very quick and simple to run. So in a simple way, computation is much more faster possible to perform using raster data or using this grid structure. Calculation, create different types of quantitative analysis. The grid surface is ideally suited for presenting and storing continuous value. Raster structure, I already told you, raster data model is more suitable, ideal for representing continuous geographical data instead of vector data. Although vector data can be used to represent continuous geographical data, but the raster data is more suitable, more ideal. Storage of rasters can be small due to the way it handles and store its geographic location. So because storage storage of rasters can be small due to the way it handles and store its geographic location. The coordinates of each cell is inferred by its position within the grid network. So when you store the coordinate information within raster data, every cell or every pixel within a raster contains such type of coordinate information. Every pixel contains some sort of coordinate information when you implement. So those are the advantages of the raster data model. Few more are there. This uniform structure allows you to combine a variety of geographic features in one geoprocessing operation. Suppose if you want to perform raster query, if you want to perform raster overlay, multiple raster when overlay one upon another, or if you want to develop some expression, I mean some query expression if you develop, that will be much more better to implement on the raster data due to its uniform structure, same structure grid. You can combine a surface with area features. If you have a elevation surface as a raster data, if you have a with area features, linear features, rivers and roads, and point features wells in the same analysis. So if you have a raster data, if you have a point, line, polygon, vector data, all can be combined in your raster analysis. So those are the advantages of the raster data model. Compatible with remote sensing imagery. As you know, the output of remote sensing is the image. So directly such type of remote sensing image you can use in the raster data model. So those are so no transformation, no exporting is required. So raster data model is directly compatible with the remote sensing imagery. Now some of the disadvantages of the raster data model that I will present in front of you. One main pitfall of raster representation is that grid cell size. So that means in your raster, what is the cell size? That is the one main major disadvantage. Size designates the resolution of the gridded surface. Some raster may have a large grid size, some raster may have a small grid size. A 10 into 10 kilometer grid cell size is translated as only one unique value for every 100 square kilometer of the surface. So if you have a such type of raster where pixel or grid size is 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer, that means one grid cell will represent 100 square kilometer area. So one pixel when represent 100 square kilometer area, that only represent one unique value. That means for 100 square kilometer area you represent one single temperature, you represent a single elevation. So sometimes that will very coarser raster data, and that will and the cell presents a blurrier depiction very general raster, not very details are present. But in some cases, this 10 by 10 kilometer grid cell raster is applicable. If you use, so for example, a kilometer grid cell can be useful working on a regional or state wide level. But this kilometer grid cell is not at all suitable for local level. As you understand, in a local level, if one pixel, one cell represent 100 square kilometer, that will totally very coarser image you will get, which is almost useless for all of us. Also, as a consequence, when cell size can determine of the storage size of the raster. If cell size is too small, then the raster size will increase. If cell size is larger, 100 by 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer, then raster size will less. If cell size is 30 meter by 30 meter, then definitely if you compare with the 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer, in case of 30 meter by 30 meter raster, cell size raster, the cell size will be, raster size will be much more higher. So if you have a raster where cell size is larger, the raster size will be lesser. If you have a raster where the cell size is smaller, then raster size will be higher. So that also you have to incorporate. Smaller grid cell would provide a more detailed gridded surface. Yes, definitely. If you have a raster where the cell size is smaller, that will represent much more detailed information. But at the end, storage would be much more larger. So that is the another disadvantages of the raster data. Datasets can be very large, and also one point is that in raster data, projection and coordinate transformation is not very easy task, which is much more easier in the vector data. So those are some disadvantages are there. And then come to the advantages of the vector data model. Vector data is considered to be more traditional method for cartographic presentation. That means for map making, vector data model is much more useful, and for aesthetically representing GIS data, vector data is more ideal. It delivers a representation that is sharp, clean and scalable output. So the cartographic output represented by vector data is scalable, much more cleaner, much more sharp presentation is there. Data is stored without any loss or generalization, and accurate geolocation information is preserved in the vector data. Because it do not have such type of grid structure, so vector data can represent accurate geolocational information. Whenever we will use vector data, it will not lose its content based on larger scale or smaller scale. It will not generalize the data. That is another good point regarding the vector data model. Multiple attributes can be stored in the vector data for saving the space of storage data. Because vector data has this type of capability, it can store multiple attributes, and by doing this it can save the space of storage data. Less amount of space is needed. Data manipulation is much more easier. Instead of raster data, vector data manipulation is much more easier. Even novice user can perform, but the raster data editing is really hard for new user. Then come disadvantages of the vector data model. Just like advantage, vector data also have certain disadvantages. Vector data model have a complex data structure. Raster data has a simple data structure, grid structure, but the vector data model data structure is very complex, because if you consider polygon which consists of several points, so all those point information you have to store separately. So in this way its data structure is complex. Due to the fact that vector data is stored as a series of points, as I told you, each item needs to be stored and listed. If you consider one polygon consists of 1000 points, each and every point information have to store separately. So in this way it's complex. Continuous type data is not efficiently represented and stored in vector format. As you know, raster data is more ideal for representing continuous vector data, but if you want to represent continuous geographical data using vector, this is not very suitable or appropriate. Vector data model is much more superior, much more useful for representing discrete geographical data. It is not compatible with remote sensing image data, because as you know, remote sensing image data is typically compatible with raster data, because remote sensing image data also contain grid structure. So that is also one drawback is there. But the point you have to remember, raster data model cannot represent topological relationship, but as a advantage of vector data model can represent topological relationship. Okay, so that is the point is there. Vector overlay analysis is more time consuming. When two or more vector layers are superimposed one upon another and you perform some sort of overlay analysis, it is time consuming and inefficient compared to raster overlay analysis. So raster overlay analysis is much more accurate, and it's less time taken. Compared to vector data model, it's not provide you very accurate overlay result and also time consuming. So the final one is there. Which one is the best? Which one I should use? Raster or vector? On the whole, the use and selection of raster or vector data is dependent on the objective of the output, how you will represent the final data, and how the data is to be depicted, how to represent the data. If the final mapping output is to deliver something more aligned with the traditional cartographic representation, then vector based data will be much more appropriate compared to raster. So if you want to represent cartographic representation, if you want to provide a cartographic representation where aesthetic sense should be applied, and you will present your geographical data, then vector is the more suitable one you should use. Whereas if the representation is more aligned to depicting a surface, continuous geographical data, or some other physical phenomena, or if there is a mathematical context or analysis to be undertaken, then raster data would be much more suitable. So if you want to represent continuous geographical data, some continuous geographical phenomena, and if you want to incorporate some mathematical model, some mathematical, if you want to perform some sort of analysis where mathematical formula have to apply, then raster data model will be much more suitable compared to vector data. So there is no hard and fast rule is there. I have to choose raster for this, I have to choose vector for this. That depends on your project, your goal, your objective of the output, and how you will prepare the final representation. All such type of points you have to consider. Okay, so that's all regarding this particular presentation, where I present mainly the topic name is raster versus vector, although I discuss two additional topic. One is topology related to vector data, another one is DEM related to raster data. Okay, so thank you.